Hey YouTube, how's it going? So recently, Hoyoverse put out information on Sparkle and her light cone. So I figured we'd go through it and see what Sparkle has to offer. So just to start off, I really like her design. I love the kitsune mask that she has on the side of her head, as well as just her general color palette. Like red's one of my favorite colors, so she looks really good as a character for me. So, for her overview, Sparkle is a support character capable of recovering skill points for allies and increasing the ally skill point limit. Additionally, Sparkle can advance action of a designated ally, increase their crit damage, and boost the damage dealt by all allies. So, just reading this definitely gives a good picture of what she's there for. She's mainly for a single DPS, like DPS hyper carry, but she can work with multiple DPSs because she does increase damage dealt by all allies, and she has some other things that we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, she's definitely mainly there to. She's kind of like Bronya, where she advances and increases crit, but instead of doing it instead of advancing with her skill and increasing crit with her ult, she does both with her skill, and then her ult recovers skill points. So, and then she has some things in her talents and traces that increase damage for all allies. So yeah, she's definitely looking like a really good character for, again, hyper carry. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Like once we actually play her, we'll get to see if she's like how good are her buffs for multiple DPSs. So it's always cool to see more story, or it's always cool to see story put in for characters, but we're mainly just here for like the gameplay and the skills and things, so we'll kind of skip past some of this stuff. So yeah, we'll go to her traces. So Almanac, when using basic attack, additionally regenerates energy. So that's pretty cool. So usually with the skill, it'll regenerate more energy than the basic, but maybe with this trace, they'll regenerate the same amount, or maybe the basic will just be slightly lower than, or slightly lower instead of quite a bit lower. We all love that. The crit damage boost effect provided by skill will be extended until the target's next turn. So that's really good too, because like unlike Bronya, her buff lasts just for their turn. So anyone that has like follow-up attacks and things like that will stay boosted under her skill, which is really cool. And we have Nocturne. Increases all allies' attack. Additionally, increases the attack of quantum type allies based on the amount of quantum type allies in the team. So this is from her talent, and basically this is saying she really wants to be run mono quantum to get the most out of her for your team. Now, of course, she doesn't have to be run mono quantum. This is just something that further incentivizes that. But she's still gonna work just fine with someone like, obviously Dan Hung is gonna be one of the best DPSs to run with Sparkle because of how skill point hungry he is. So, but then you have like QQ, who is both extremely skill point hungry and quantum, so that works just even better. So that's a really interesting trace to put in, but I like it because obviously I'm going to be running mono quantum with her, so that's perfect for me. But yeah, so that's really nice. Then we have her leveling materials, so definitely be sure to farm that up if you're wanting to pull for her. So then we have her technique. Using the technique grants all allies misdirect for a certain time. Characters with misdirect will not be detected by enemies, and entering battle with misdirect state recovers a certain number of skill points for the team. So that's really cool too. So you go in just with more skill points. So you have Fu Xuan's technique, which puts her buff down on the field immediately, and then you'll have her, which will get more or grant more skill points immediately. So for me, the team I'm mulling over in my head currently is Fu Xuan, Sparkle, Shui Yi, Silver Wolf. So it'll be like Fu Xuan technique, Sparkle technique, then Silver Wolf technique, and then yeah, it really gets the ball rolling there. So yeah, that's really cool. Wonderful technique. So one thing, actually, let me go back. One thing about Sparkle, or I guess the reason why she's so good in my opinion, is because she kind of defies the quote-unquote laws of Honkai Star Rail. So, you know, like, you only have 5 skill points, you can only regenerate 1 at a time, stuff like that, except for like Hanya, who generates 2 when she ults or something like that. I don't know exactly how she works. I've never played her, and I've only seen her in action a few times in videos. But Sparkle breaks that entirely. She increases the max number of skill points, and she gives multiple skill points when she ults. She's kind of like Silverwolf, where when she implants a weakness that a boss doesn't have, like, you now can break that enemy. So with her, like, they're two rule breaking characters. I would say almost a must pull, just because of how she changes the way the game itself works. Like, characters that do that, like your Ron May with the increased break efficiency, like characters that do stuff like that are pretty much must pulls. Just based on what I'm seeing already, I would highly recommend her. And again, I'm gonna get her in her light cone, but yeah, that's just me. So for her basic attack, it just deals quantum damage, and of course it regenerates more energy than a standard basic attack. Let's go to her talent. When she's on the battlefield, additionally increases the max number of skill points. Whenever an ally consumes a skill point, all allies' damage dealt increases. This effect lasts a certain number of turns and can stack up to a certain number of times. So I don't know exact numbers here, but still, like, whenever they consume a skill point, their damage increases. So again, like QQ and Dan Heng IL, like, that's just gonna be insane, I imagine. And then with any other skill hungry DPS like Sela, my E6 Silverwolf wants to skill every single turn and stuff like that. So yeah, that's gonna be really cool too. So she's just damage on damage with attack, with skill points. Like, she is looking insane for sure. And you can see the max number is 7 there. So then we have her skill, increases the crit damage of a target ally for a certain number of turns. This also causes the target's action to be advanced forward. When Sparkle uses this ability on herself, she won't be able to trigger the action advance, so like Bronya. But yeah, this is what I was saying. It's like Bronya's skill and ult put together in a single skill. So she advances the ally and increases their crit damage. Definitely looking really good. So then we have her ultimate, recovers a certain number of skill points for the team and grants all allies Cypher. For allies with Cypher, each stack of the damage boost effect provided by Sparkle's talent additionally increases by a certain percentage, lasting for a certain number of turns. So let's see, by Sparkle's talent, let's go back to her talent. Okay, so yeah, so whenever they consume a skill point, their damage dealt increases. And the ult, so basically when an ally uses a skill, their damage just increases. When Sparkle uses her ult, it increases that damage that they do. I really love like stuff like this where, like, you know, kit synergy working super well within itself. I mean, of course, it's just general good design to have that, but yeah, you just love to see it when, like, oh, this character doing this also triggers this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and this, and then you just end up dealing a million damage and you nuke everything. So yeah, Sparkle's definitely looking to be, again, I keep saying it, but yeah, she's looking to be an insane character, and I cannot wait to pull her. So that's it for Sparkle herself. Let's see what her light cone does. So into her light cone, I love the art, looking super festive, looking super fun, showing the lighter side of Sparkle. We know how Sparkle can be, so, you know, it's nice to see her just out there having fun. Here are the stats for it. Let's get into the ability. So increases the wearer's crit damage by 32%, and at the start of battle, the wearer gains mask, lasting for 3 turns. While the wearer has mask, the wearer's allies have their crit rate increased by 10% and their crit damage increased by 28%. For every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, including skill points that exceed the limit, they gain 1 stack of Radiant Flame. And when the wearer has 4 stacks of Radiant Flame, all the stacks are removed and they gain mask, lasting for 4 turns. So that's really cool. I mean, just straight off the rip, 10% crit rate and 28% crit damage, like, that's just insane. It's a stat stick for your whole team. Now, of course, she mainly wants hyper carry just because of how she works, but she could also work well with multiple DPSs, especially with this light cone, like just straight up static for everyone. And then, so for every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, so we know she's going to be recovering a lot of skill points with her ult. So basically, you can almost read this as every time she ults. So basically, let's just assume, say she gains 4 skill points whenever she ults. So let's reread this with that. So basically, every time the wearer ults, they gain 4 stacks of Radiant Flame. And when the wearer has 4 stacks, all the stacks are removed and they gain Mask for 4 turns. Mask lasts for 3 turns to start, so if you can get her ult in 3 turns, then it's basically permanent uptime on this, because it starts with 3 stacks, or it starts with 3 turns, and then it goes to 4 turns. So if she's 3-turn ulting, then everyone always has 10% crit rate and 28% crit damage. So with Fu Xuan, she gives everyone 12% crit rate and then minus E2. So with her E1 gives 30% extra crit damage. So just off of those 2 alone, that is an extra 22% crit rate and 58% crit damage. Like, you could almost, if you just put a little bit more crit into Fu Xuan, you could almost have her as a DPS. Which, that might be interesting, that might be fun to try. Obviously, you're going to lose out a bit on her sustain capabilities, but if she's also doing damage and then it just kind of kills everyone, then that could be something to play around with and something I may look into. So, you know, we like to have a little bit of fun on this channel. We like to be a little crazy sometimes, so who knows, it might be worth looking into whenever she comes out. So yeah, that was her light cone. Here are the upgrade materials. I've been saying this, but I'm absolutely looking forward to Sparkle. And she is gonna be upon us in just a few days. So you can see where I'm at pull wise. I have a decent amount, and for pity, it's not the best. It's not good at all, but it's fine. It's fine. Because, I mean, I'm just going to get her. I'm going to get the light cone. We're going to do it with these pulls here, or however many I get between now and her banner releasing. So, you know, it's going to be fine. It's going to be easy. I also want to see what Sparkle and Bronya do for DPS. I mean, I have a lot of the DPSs, like a lot of the really good ones. As you saw from my last video, I have Dan Heng, I have Jing Liu, I have Blade. So there's a lot of, and of course my E6S5 Silverwolf. So there's a lot of potential. Again, just kind of mess around, see what's gonna happen. What exactly will Sparkle unlock and enable for my account? Yeah, definitely gonna be fun giving all that a try. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the video. So keep it burning.
At this speed, too slow.